Hola!
Episode
And
17.
welcome back.
Welcome back for those that joined us for another week, another episode. We're going to start it off with a lot of different sports news. Get that nasty magazine off my screen right now.
What magazine?
Ew. Yeah, okay, yeah. Just hide it.
I just
Act like nothing happened.
wanted to make sure the viewers that were paying attention got a little hint for the rest of the episode. Nice little thing there for them. I can't think of the term. What do you call it in video games when you're trying to find that thing, you know? It's like part of the game. Easter eggs? Easter egg. It's a nice little Easter egg for everyone.
For a second, I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Easter eggs.
I couldn't think of the word. Yep, nice little Easter egg for those paying attention.
Well, Spinny, you want to start it off with news that I know you're happy about?
The GOAT gets more goated. The GOAT gets more
Get
goated.
out of here.
Welcome to Rafa Nadal winning the French Open. Quarterfinal win over Djokovic. Love that too. Nice L's for Djokovic there on that one. And then he got to retire in the semifinal. His opponent got hurt. That was kind of sad there. Yeah, it was
I did not tune in this year at all.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. Rafa kind of went up and hugged him after, and it was kind of a sweet little moment there. But yeah, he got hurt. And then in the championship, it really wasn't even close. Nice 6-3, 6-4, 6-0, I think, win there for Rafa. So yeah, and 14th French in the bookies 14 times. Might be the most unbeatable athlete at one event of all time. So pretty crazy win streak there for him. Never lost in a final. Only lost 4 times career. 4 times career at Roland Garros. Craziness. So yeah, I just love it. I love Rafa. Rafa's my GOAT, and now it's 22-20. So a 2 major advantage career for Rafa over Federer and Djokovic. So
we're not going to.
What do you got on that? What do you got on that, Fetty?
We're not going to dive into the GOAT of tennis debate tonight. That will be actually coming on next week, so look forward to that argument next week. But Spinny, I can't wait to take you down.
Over.
I can't wait to take you down because Nadal is not the GOAT. Hint, he's not even top 2.
He's definitely the most fun to watch. That's for sure.
I don't know if I can argue necessarily against that, but in other news, Quin Snyder, he stepped down for the Jazz. Spinny, that was pretty shocking to me. What do you think?
I mean, I get it. The Jazz are stagnant. I think I got to give and not that Quin Snyder's younger. I mean, he's probably in his 40s, right? Quin Snyder, maybe 50s, but I got to imagine 40s if I had to guess. Look that up for me maybe here while I'm rambling.
Yeah.
But
55.
55, yeah. So I guess Quin Snyder's on the older end, but he's still – I think you have him as a self-aware guy, and I think he kind of knew that they were
8
stagnant.
seasons.
Yeah, I just feel like they were stagnant, and he knew it, and he just – I don't know. He kind of saw the writing and – figured if anything else, they needed a new voice, if not, a complete roster shakeup. And I wasn't obviously going to go through that either. So maybe that's a little hint they might be doing something in Utah with Rudy or Donovan, especially given Mitchell's not loving of Schneider stepping down. All the reports that came out after that. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think, man, if I had to place a bet on like a top 15, 20 player getting traded, I think it's going to be Donovan Mitchell. I think it's Donovan Mitchell. I don't know. Just a gut feeling.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I definitely think for sure Rudy or Donovan Mitchell is going to get traded. I mean, your coach just stepped down, so I feel like it's kind of, and like you said, they've been stagnant, obviously, in the playoffs and don't really go anywhere. They've been, they're usually top 4 team in the West, top 5 for sure. And then come playoffs, they don't do anything. So, yeah, Quin Snyder knew it's time to go. I'm interested to see if he comes back to coaching, or is he going to take a year off, 2 years off? Like, I don't know what his plan is for that. But if he makes himself available this year, there's going to be teams calling for sure. He'll be probably the best or the top candidate for a lot of jobs, I would imagine. And the Lakers probably wish this news happened a week or 2 ago so they could have looked into Quin Snyder maybe even a little more for their job, but I'm sure they're happy with Darvin Ham, I guess. But
wasn't there bad blood though between Snyder and the Lakers, and
Was
how
there?
he kind of felt that whole situation panned out with Vogel and how they were treating everyone there? He wasn't.
Okay.
And the
That makes
whole
sense.
Palinka and what are their stupid names that used to be the
Bus?
Wolves coach?
Oh,
Rambis, Kurt Rambis,
Oh,
Kurt
Rambis,
Englander
yeah.
Rambis. Oh my gosh, they need to just I can't even believe they got a mention. I can't even believe I brought up their bum names on this podcast, but they need to be out. And I think that was a thing for Schneider too, is he was sketched out about the leadership group there. So I think, I don't know if that would
Rightfully
happen
so.
either way, but yeah, if Schneider will be sought after if he stays, and he'll be sought after if he doesn't, because I'm sure there'll be broadcasting networks and everybody trying to get him on countdown.
That's a good point too.
That man is hilarious. Honestly.
Yeah, he's a good talker.
I feel like he is. I
think he'd be good as an analyst. I think.
Oh yeah, I think he'd.
And we get that basketball knowledge too. You always like getting coaches and players in the booth and stuff. So
I could see that for Schneider too, if he's just depending on how hungry and competitive he wants to be in the NBA still. But
yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what he decides to do with his career. Next up on our list here of minor news, Aaron Donald. Wow, this happened today. Insane contract. He's guaranteed $65 million over the next 2 years and guaranteed $95 million through the 2024 season. For those that don't know, that is
3 years, $95 million.
He is now the highest paid non-QB of all time. So Aaron Donald's getting that well-deserved paycheck. $40 million raise he got based on his last contract. So, wow, restructured it, gave that man more money, and now he's the richest non-QB of all time. So,
this man making $32.5 million a year.
$32.5 million a year. And he's
in all seriousness, though, if anyone deserves it in the NFL, that's not a QB. It's Aaron Donald. This man.
It's Aaron Donald. Yeah.
I mean, you just look at he's the best defender I've ever seen. He's the best defender of our lifetimes for sure. Definitely.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. No doubt.
Yeah, no doubt. Just the DPOYs and just the impact and just the amount of double teams, and it's Lawrence Taylor-esque. You know, we didn't see Lawrence Taylor in our lifetime, but that man could wreck games in a way that I've only really seen with Aaron Donald, where it's like consistently wreck games, like wreck seasons, affect wins as a defensive player, like whole game wins as a defensive player. I mean, that's a rare quality to have, and Aaron Donald's that guy. So,
and I mean, this man Aaron Donald is in MVP discussions basically every year. MVP as a defensive player. So yeah,
as a defensive tackle, as a defensive tackle, nonetheless.
Yeah,
the least glorified position on defense for sure.
Did you see I can't remember which analyst, might not even have been an analyst. Someone said that his peers are Lawrence Taylor. You know, like there's no one in the NFL that we can even call as a peer to Aaron Donald because he's just so much better than everyone in the NFL right now.
And especially at the D tackle position, the gap between him and the next best D tackle is nuts.
Yeah,
absolutely,
it's insane.
Biggest position group gap in the NFL from 1 to 2, for sure.
Yeah, I could probably get behind that statement. Our last little update here, we do want to give a quick NHL update. The Avs are up 3-0 on the Oilers. That's all but done. They might sneak a game out and avoid the sweep, I guess, and get gentlemen swept. But yeah, that series is over. Avs just been demolishing the whole time. So,
I shouldn't be dancing. I'm dancing based on my pick, not based on my heart. I wish McDavid would be dubbing them all.
Spinny and I aren't necessarily happy about that, but we both picked them. So pick-wise, at least we're correct there. And in the other series, we got the Rangers are up 2-1 on the Lightning. Lightning won Game 3 last night, and Game 4 is tomorrow. So I hope the Lightning will be able to tie it up. Spinny, I know that was our pick. We had the same Stanley Cup final prediction. So I'm hoping the Lightning's able to tie this up because I just absolutely hate the Rangers. Screw New York teams. I don't want any of them to win in any sport ever, so screw them. Screw the Rangers.
Lightning goalie is that good. This man is a wall. This man can win 2 more games in this series solo by himself based on the high end of how he can play. And that's a recipe for winning in the NHL playoffs. And if they can just maybe get a game or a game and a half from their offense, I think the Lightning can make this comeback. And man, I hope so because the Rangers.
Oh my gosh, if it's the Rangers and Avalanche in the Stanley Cup.
I know, what the.
I'm not tuning in. I'm not watching. For sure. All right, I think that's enough of the random sports news. We're gonna dive in now. Basically, what we do every single week. Obviously the NBA playoffs. So we're gonna talk the NBA Finals now. Game 1, Spinny. Your Celtics got it done, 120-108. I was a little shocked. Honestly, I had no anticipation of them winning. I thought for sure the Warriors would win game 1. I was expecting them flipping that. So Warriors winning game 1, Celtics 2. But obviously Celtics won game 1 and Warriors won game 2. So I was a little shocked that they were actually able to win game 1 because I was like, all this experience the Warriors have, they're for sure going to get this game 1 win. Did you feel like that too? Or am I just foolish here?
The only thing is Warriors had the longer rest and maybe too long a rest. Could have came out a little rusty at the beginning of game 1, which kind of happened. Except Curry, but Boston was guarding Curry like he was freaking Russell Westbrook.
Drop coverage.
Drop coverage
so
on Steph Curry. On Steph Curry. What are we doing? But he had that hot first quarter, but then Ime roasted him at the first quarter break there, and then they defended Steph very well, honestly, the rest of that game. And other guys made shots. Jason Tatum, 3 for 17, but had 13 assists, more assists than points. So he kind of came through in that aspect. Al Horford apparently is just that game 1 guy, just like he did against the Bucks. He's doing it against the Warriors here, going off in game 1. That was sweet. And the most important player was Jaylen Brown. The game was basically close through 3 1/3 quarters, and the Warriors looked like they might take off a little bit at the beginning of the 4th, end of the 3rd, beginning of the 4th, and then Jaylen Brown just scored. It was just, when Tatum was off, it was a Jaylen Brown show. He was taken to the rack, making contested layups over and over and over again. And that pull-up mid-range shot, contested, banging that thing. So that was cool. And then the last 8 minutes, they just couldn't miss. Derek White couldn't miss. Jaylen Brown couldn't miss. Nobody could miss. Horford couldn't miss. It was just 7 for 7 from 3 in that stretch of the 4th quarter there. So absolutely ridiculous. They just lit it up. So kudos to them. And game 1 was a nice close game for most of it, which was good to see, unlike game 2. So
right.
What are your game 1 thoughts?
I mean, Warriors up 12, 92-80 entering the 4th quarter. And, you would have just assumed with the Warriors, all that experience, that they would just able to hold that out, get that done. But like you said, they just unconscious, the Celtics were from 3 in that 4th quarter. Just ridiculous. They ended up outscoring the Warriors 40-16 in the 4th quarter. Absolutely insane. So I think it's a little both there. Pretty big collapse there by the Warriors, but also you can't fault the Celtics for showing up and getting the job done. So, and playing their best basketball when it matters the most in the 4th quarter. So props to the Celtics for getting that game 1 dub, because I definitely did not see that coming. Another note I have here, 43s combined. That's got to be close to the record, crazy. If not the record. I didn't look up the record, but that was a lot. 21 for the Celtics, I believe, and 19 for the Warriors. So, 40 combined threes. I mean, Horford had 6, Derek White had 5, and Marcus Smart had 4. So that's literally 15 threes from those 3 players right there.
Crazy.
But then game 2 comes, 107-88 final score. Honestly, if you just take up that 3rd quarter, the game was pretty much even the whole time.
Yep. I mean, it was. It's hard to take like the fourth quarter because obviously the Boston starters didn't really play there at the end of the fourth quarter, so it was kind of like tough there on that aspect, obviously. So I take that fourth quarter doesn't really count towards the argument that we're talking about, but the Seas just turned it over too much. Just the carelessness with the
19 for the
ball.
game.
33 points off turnovers?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so 33 points off turnovers, so that's something you can't give up to the Warriors. And then they just hit some big shots. Steph was hitting big shots. Jordan Poole was hitting freaking 40-foot contested threes apparently. So they just hit shots, and Boston turned it over too much. And just Boston's offense was lackadaisical, and this is what happens sometimes. It happened against Miami. It happened against the Bucks. They just kind of get lackadaisical on offense, and they don't have a true point guard to calm it down and make a good play and get them in it. Sometimes Tatum can't be that guy, and Smart can't be that guy, and if neither one of them can be that guy, then it's tough. So I think that that's got to be something they got to figure out and do better on, and somebody has to step up there. But that's going to be the up and downs of the series. That's why I think it's going to 6 or 7 games. Is
right,
a lot based
exactly.
on that, those ups and downs. So, what did you think? Give me your game.
Yeah, I'm just really shocked at the minus 36 for Jason Tatum. That's crazy to think about. Like he was the leading scorer for the Celtics, but when he was on the court, they were outscored by 36 points. That's just that's ridiculous. And
okay, I'm going to say one thing about that though. Come on, let me say one thing.
I'm going to say what you're about to say. Plus minus doesn't really mean that much. It doesn't.
Especially in a blowout where your best player, he was the last one to come out of the game.
But minus 36 in only a 19-point loss.
Fair.
That was just like that was weird to me. And again, I don't really put much emphasis on plus minus, but to see it that bad was pretty weird to me.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? A
serious
question based on plus minus? So Clay last night had a plus minus of 0, even in their big win that they had. And in the first game, he had an atrocious plus minus, one of the worst ones in the whole game. I want to say negative 23. Don't quote me on that, but it was in the negative 20s.
Yeah, it was. I remember that.
Does Steve Kerr bench Klay Thompson at the end of games in this series in favor of a Curry, either Poole or Peyton, and then Wiggins, Porter, Looney lineup?
No Draymond? You don't want Draymond in?
Or Draymond? I'm sorry. A
Draymond instead of Porter
instead of Looney. No, I want Draymond.
You want
Porter.
small.
Yeah, Draymond, Porter, Wiggins, and then either Poole or Peyton, depending on if Poole's balling, or do you want Peyton's defense more? And because Klay, man, I don't know. There's some points
good.
There's some points he does not look good, and I get it. He scored 30 in that closeout game. Was that against Memphis or against Dallas? Shoot, I can't remember. But he had.
I think he did it against Dallas, didn't he?
I think it was the closeout game against Dallas. He had 30, had 7 threes.
Yeah.
He turned it on.
That's been like his only good playoff game, though. He's been struggling.
I know.
And in these 2 finals games, it's not been good. So I guess to answer your question here, does he bench Klay Thompson?
I kind of stole it from you.
No, that's good. I guess to answer that, I would say you gotta go with the game flow. I don't want to, going into game 3, I don't want to like have the plan of sitting Klay Thompson at the end of the games. I don't think that's a good plan to go into the game with. Just given, he's had game 6 Klay, he's had great finals performances in the past. He's obviously just a little rusty after missing 2 full years of basketball.
Yeah, I mean, holy cow.
I think it's more of like a game by game thing. If he struggles in game 3 like he did in game 2, like what was he? Game 2, like 3 for 18 or something so bad. I think you almost have to take him out because he's not doing anything. He's missing all of his open shots. Defensively, you can get the same output from other players on your bench.
His defense is not what it was. His
Right.
movement
He's
is not
lost
what
a
it
step
was.
because of his injuries. Yeah,
Yes.
which is fair.
No, yeah. And here's the other thing I want to say about this before we get too much on the Clay hate. I think Clay will be back better than a lot of people think Clay will be back. There's a lot of Clay hate
agree.
going around here, but you give that man a whole offseason again to work on his shooting and getting that all dialed back in. Clay's getting open shots. It's not like he's not. And it's not like he didn't consistently make contested threes before. I don't think that him maybe losing a step is going to affect his shooting as much as it has this season because he's rusty. I think. But I am fairly confident Clay's going to come back a lot stronger than some of the haters think. Because I think a lot of people think Clay's like Gordon Hayward now, and we're just never going to get what we got before as far as maybe the player. And maybe we won't from the explosiveness point, but I think we'll get more of a dagger 3 shooting Clay like we had before.
Yeah, I agree. I think we have to wait at least all of next season before we can to jump to conclusions here on Clay, because he didn't play until what, January 8th or something like that was the NBA debut.
And he was out for 2 years.
Yeah, and he missed half of this season. So 2.5 seasons he missed. Yeah, you got to give that man a full season, full off. Like, and that's the thing about this off season that you were saying. These last off seasons, he spent rehabbing. You know,
literally,
it's different training in the off season now that he's going to get to do this upcoming summer. So we'll see what he does. I agree with you though. I think Clay still got it. I'm pretty confident in Clay Thompson because I just don't think you lose that shooting touch. That elite of a shooter, he's never going to lose that. Athleticism, he might, like you said, but the shooting, he's going to have that forever. So especially go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, I was just going to ask you if you're gonna take my take an offer from me. Are you going to take an offer from me and change your pick to the Warriors after those first 2 games? Did that influence you enough? Did you see
not
enough?
At all. I still like Celtics in 7.
Really? After the blowout game 2 loss, you still like the Celtics, huh? I can't lure you over to the good side.
Spinny, they outscored the Celtics 35-14 in the third quarter. That's 21 points, and they won by 19. So the other 3 quarters were close.
Yeah, fourth quarter was
classic Warriors third quarter, like, just what they always do. And
the OG
think
classic third quarter.
I think the Celtics will learn to be better prepared coming out of half going forward. I don't anticipate that big of a spread in the third quarter the rest of this series. And like you said a while ago, this kind of back and forth is expected. They're amazing teams. Both of us had this series going 7. So we expected teams to struggle here and there. And, I definitely thought for sure 1-1 going back to Boston. I thought there was no chance one of the teams would be up 2-0. Because if one of them went up 2-0, the series would be over, in my opinion. It'd be over in probably 5 or 6.
Yeah. I struggled to see the Celtics winning in Golden State Game 7. I know Boston's been crazy on the road, but I think that Game 7 is at home still has a taste in their mouth from LeBron the first time. So I don't think they would let themselves take that out again in Game 7 at home. But who knows? Who knows?
Did you say
sticking
LeBron?
With Boston? Get that stupid crap off my screen. Second goal crap. Should have a number 2 on the crown. 2 on the crown.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. I guess one more statement I want to make about Game 2. So Game 1, Horford, Smart, and White, 65 points combined. And in Game 2, how many did they have? 16. White had 12, which I guess is what you expect out of White. White played fine. 12 points, that's fine. He's a bench player. You don't really.
Derek White against Miami and against Golden State so far has been electric.
Yeah.
He's a top 5. He's in the end of game lineup is White, Smart, Brown, Tatum, Horford.
Yeah.
That's the end of game lineup. That's the one that they've been.
He's been hitting big threes.
This man's been daggering threes. I've been impressed. I was a Derek White hater at the beginning of the playoffs. He had some moments against Milwaukee that made me want to pull my eyes out. But against Miami, he was maybe one of the most influential players in that series as far as changing it at key moments, other than obviously Tatum. But I don't know. I love Derek White. He's convinced me. Maybe it just took time for him to get used to the system and everything and get involved like he wanted to. But man, once he fit in, we got playoff Derek White, I guess, and it's been litty.
Yeah, I guess. I've seen people on social media comparing him to Fred VanVleet, saying like how Fred VanVleet had his coming out party against the Warriors in the finals. And, obviously Fred's been amazing since then. So is this the coming out party for Derek White? I guess we'll see next year.
Derek White's just a role player, but I don't think he's got the Fred VanVleet talent. But
VanVleet was a role player,
Yeah, but there's a difference between Derek White and Fred VanVleet, I feel like.
I agree. I'm just saying there's
I see
semi-comparison based on the coming out party aspect of it.
Man, if Derek White be a consistent sixth man, that's all I'm asking for out of Derek White, honestly.
That's fair. So, yeah, he had 12. He did his thing. But Smart, only 2 points compared to 18, and Horford, 2 points compared to 26. They got to be better. Again, I told you this off camera, no chance that you would see a repeat effort in terms of combined points from those three again. But to drop from 26 to 2 and from 18 to 2, that's not okay.
Yeah, that's
Horford and Smart have to combine for more than 4 points. They want to win. So that's kind of my last closing thought about game 2. Yeah, it was a blowout, but mainly just due to the third quarter and the Celtics role players or key scorers other than Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, aka Horford, White, and Smart, they just didn't get it done. So I guess we'll see about game 3.
4 turnovers for Tatum, 5 turnovers for Smart, 2 for Brown, 2 for Horford, 2 for Derek White, 3 for Derek White. All the key ball handlers, turnovers. Can't have that. Can't have that happen. And the only guy that really didn't turn the ball over that much, Jaylen Brown, was 5 for 17.
He struggled.
We all had our mistakes, and so hopefully game three will show up. Boston hasn't been that good of a home team this year in the playoffs, but I think we're going to see a back and forth very similar to what we did with Boston and Milwaukee, where it's just going to be every other game basically until game 5, and then 5 will really decide it. If Boston wins 5,
right?
If Boston wins 5 at the Warriors, which they very well could, they did against Milwaukee. That game was in Boston, but they did against Miami in Miami, and if they can do that, I think they'll win in game 6. But if the Warriors win game 5, Boston wins 6, I think the Warriors will win 7 back in their home arena. So I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. Actually, I know I keep saying last comment, but one very quick comment. Jordan Poole's half quarter, that was sick. That was sick.
40 feet away.
Pull up. He did the little in and out shimmy on your boy Peyton Pritchard. Pulled up in his face and drilled it.
You gotta eat your words a little bit on Peyton Pritchard, though. This man has been getting time in the playoffs. He has.
He is
never gonna do anything.
Mid.
Sniper,
that's fair, though.
He's gotta. That man can reign.
Occasionally.
Yeah. Well, it's the NBA, and he's 5'10", so.
True. All right. Well, Spinny, you know what time it is now? It's time for me to retake the lead.
You're not.
No, I'm retaking the lead.
No,
yes, I am.
No,
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling so good.
Wait till you hear my questions.
So I got to answer first then, huh?
Yeah, you do. No, I'll give you the advantage this time.
Yeah, you're going to give me the advantage?
First. I will.
Okay.
That's how confident I am today.
Okay. I like it. Easy question. Who has the most career touchdowns for tight ends in NFL history?
Antonio Gates, final.
Correct.
My boy, my Madden boy, Antonio Gates. I love that man. Great tight end. All right, it's easy question. He just caught a lot of Phillip Rivers loved lobbing it up to that, man.
Yeah.
All right, remember this is the easy question. What sport does not have qualifying events for the Olympic Games? Olympic sport doesn't have qualifying events. Easy question.
Basketball. Final answer.
We talked about it today on the pod. That's why it's an easy question. The sport. We talked about this sport.
Tennis.
Yeah. Tennis.
That's tough.
All right. Come on. We talked about it today. And it's
we didn't talk about it not having a qualifier. What are you talking about?
No, but we talked about it was the only Olympic sport we talked about today other than basketball.
Right. And I don't know. I couldn't even think of I thought there was qualifiers for everything. So that's why I was like, I don't know. I'm guessing basketball. But I knew there's qualifiers for basketball. That's why I didn't know. I actually had no idea. That's tough for me. It's fine though, because you're not gonna get these last questions.
Ooh.
So the medium question, given it's 2 points, you can get a point for each. The only way to get 2 is to name the team and the amount of threes made. So the question is most threes in an NBA Finals game.
Okay.
Who has it, what team, and how many threes? Point for each. So you don't have to necessarily get it all correct.
Klay Thompson, Warriors.
No, team. Most team. Threes by team.
Oh.
Yeah, I threw that in there given all the threes we've seen so far.
And then team. What are my 3 points? Team.
You just have to say what team it is and how many threes they made. And I'll give you a hint. 21 threes by the Boston Celtics was second most.
Golden State Warriors.
Do you have a guess for how many threes they made?
23. Fine.
That was close. 24 is the record, but it's held by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yep. 3-1 comeback. They hit 24 threes. Come on. Come on.
All right. 1-0.
All right, I'm still in the game.
All right, medium question. I'm also doing 1 point for each here for you too.
Okay.
One is naming the team. 2 is naming the year.
Okay.
Which World Series team included pitchers Phil Hughes and David Robertson? David Robertson was a setup man for a long time.
Yep. I know who they are. I know who both of them are. Chicago Cubs 2016 final answer.
No, wrong.
Ah!
Do you have a second guess?
It's in our lifetime though, obviously.
Yeah.
Since they are, I'm pretty sure Robertson is pitching still. I don't know about Hughes. New York Yankees 2009.
Correct.
Are you giving it to me since you said I got?
I'll give you 1 point. I'll give you 1 point. I'll let you tie me because you got both. You got both on the second guess, the year and the team. So that's fair.
See, I thought about doing that first guess, but I thought that was the easy answer, and it would be wrong that way. So that's why I didn't pick it.
That's fair.
Okay. Your hard question. You need to give me the name of the player and how old they were when they did this.
What?
Oldest finals MVP. Who is the player that has the oldest
Lifetime? Hours?
Or I can give you a point if you just name the player.
Our lifetime.
I don't know.
Man, there's 2 guesses.
I'm
I
scared
bet you
'cause
they
I feel like
they played for the Lakers. I got 2 guesses. I don't know which one to go with. We're gonna go Jerry West.
Okay. And how old was he when he did it?
37.
Let's go. You're always one off.
Was it Jerry West?
38 years old,
If it
Kareem
wasn't-
Abdul-Jabbar.
Kareem, but that was my other guess. Yeah. It was. That's why I said Lakers. It was Kareem and Jerry West.
I'm giving you a point because when you said Lakers, I instantly knew that those were the 2 you're gonna pick. So.
Did you actually?
Yeah, I'll give you 1 point. You knew it was them. You were close on the age too. I mean,
you shouldn't give me 1 point because you're never gonna get this. And
all right, yeah, let's end in a tie again. I'd rather do that. And just be
then
behind.
you're gonna just hand me the win. What Apollo 14 astronaut what was his name? Was the first astronaut to hit golf balls on the moon. First astronaut to hit golf balls on the moon. Apollo 14.
I don't freaking know who's on Apollo 14. God. Just tell me. I don't even have a guess.
Alan Shepard.
Sick. These are the hard questions you're bringing in here, huh? Mine was doable. Oh, that's funny. Really that is funny. All right, Spinny. I actually do have a couple ideas for a tiebreaker. We're not going to be able to do it today, but look for that, fans. Probably next week we're going to start doing that for tiebreaker. So we don't have all these guys
in front of the fans.
No, because we can't. There's no way of actually doing the tiebreaker. We could tell them, I guess, right now, but.
All right, we'll keep it secret. And let you know next week.
Yeah, because I haven't even told you, so.
True, you haven't. That's why I asked.
So. All right.
Now, should I learn about it live on the air? I feel like it would work. Let's just send it, huh?
So I was thinking, I guess we can let the fans comment on what they think about this tiebreaker idea. There's a couple different ways we could do this. So we could have my dad email one question to our hard-headed email when we record, and then obviously we just don't look at it until when it's needed. The only issue is we would probably have to be like questions like list how many quarterbacks you can from this time frame or whatever, because if we just did regular questions, then we could both get it wrong and still be tied. You know what I mean? Because there needs to be a definitive winner from the tiebreaker.
Okay.
So
I have an idea too based on that idea.
Right.
That I spun. Okay.
Let's hear it.
If we'd have to do some legwork on this, but I feel like we could have somebody available each episode that we could call.
That was my second idea.
And they could just give us a question and just make them be the judge. Like they give us a question, first one of us to buzz, or first one of us to be like whatever we want to set as the thing. First one of us to say that gets to guess. If that person gets it wrong, the other person gets to guess.
Yeah, that was actually my second idea as well. Is just live call somebody and be like, "Yo, give us a question or give us something here." So, yeah, go ahead and drop comments on what you think we should do. This has obviously been dilemma for a while now, but yeah, I don't want to see any more ties. I think we have like 3 or 4 all time.
Ties suck.
Yeah.
Boo ties.
Boo ties. But yeah, look for that next week. We'll have that figured out next week for sure.
And let us know. Comment it if you have one or the other. I have like live phone calls, so but I'm game for either. Let us know though. Fans unite here on this one.
Fans unite. Our Hardys, right?
Does that we Hardys or Hardos? Which one won?
Hardys won.
Hardys won the poll. Okay.
Hardys won the Twitter poll. One of our buddies, Mike Brown, tweeted a Twitter poll. I don't know how many tweets or votes it even had, but Hardys won. So I guess we're calling y'all the Hardys from here on out. But our last topic here, we're going to do top 5 by position in NFL. So we're going to talk, obviously, just the offense. We're going to do tight ends, wide receivers, running backs, and quarterbacks here. I mean, I guess we have the only real debate on this list is Antonio Gates and Gronk flip. But I have no issue with you having Gronk too. I'm sure. Is it mainly because of your bias being a Tom Brady guy and Patriots guy, or do you like truly, definitively think Gronk is definitely better than Antonio Gates?
Well, see, the thing is, my Gronk argument here comes from prime versus prime. That's my big argument.
Okay.
I went with Gronk over Gates. Gates obviously has the counting stats. He played a long time. He got touchdowns for a long time, and he was able to stay healthy that long. Gronk has obviously had injuries over his career and has been up and down with health and all that type of stuff. Antonio Gates never had a season with 90 catches, 1,300 yards, and 17 touchdowns. So Gronk's ability to absolutely destroy at the top level. He also had two 11.5 yard seasons with 11 and 12 touchdowns. And just Gronk's the amount of big games he played in, the amount of impact he had on playoff games and situations like that, I feel like are relevant too in this argument. But Gates definitely it's close there. But I just gave the prime versus prime edge to Gronk, and that's why I went there.
Yeah, and I just flipped that argument. Obviously, I did the counting stats and longevity. I gave that a little more for Antonio Gates. But yeah, it's hard to argue against what Gronk did in his prime years there, because that's some things we've never seen from the tight end for sure. And I mean, you can't not put Tony Gonzalez one, right? Like, he's got it all. He's got the stats, the prime argument. He's got longevity argument. He's got it all there. I mean, this man is 6th all time in yards.
This man played on the Chiefs for most of his career. The 3-12 every season Chiefs.
Yeah, I was gonna say
during his career. So he played with some trash at quarterback. He went through a lot, and he still has all these tight end stats. When arguably he has the worst quarterback situation for their career among all these guys. So
yeah, that I agree 100% there.
Gates played with Brees and Rivers. Gronk played with Brady. Kelsey played with Alex Smith and Mahomes. Sharp played with John Elway for most of his career. So
right, yeah, and Kelsey, I'm throwing him on there already. I don't even care. That might be too early for some people, but I don't know how you can say he's not. He's another guy like Gronk. His prime stats is just things we haven't seen from a tight end. I mean, this guy's putting up 100 catches, 1,000+ yards, 10 touchdowns basically every year. Like, it's very impressive. Obviously, he's had Mahomes his last couple of years, but still, he's his route running, his ability to get open, make big catches down the field is just very impressive to me.
Travis Kelsey will be higher on this list when his career is over. Possibly number 1. If he can keep the longevity that some tight ends have and continues playing with Patrick Mahomes. Kelsey's last 6 seasons, starting with 2016, that was 6 seasons
1,000+ every year, right?
Yep. 1125, 1,038, 1336, 1229, 1416, and 1125. He's played
6 straight seasons.
He's played at least 15 games all of those seasons, and he's had at least 5 touchdowns all those seasons. He had two over 10 touchdown seasons. So that's the big advantage Gronk has. Obviously, over Kelsey is the amount of touchdowns that he's put up in seasons. Gronk has a 17-13 and an 11, and 11 is Kelsey's high in his career for touchdowns in a season. But Kelsey's putting up multiple consecutive seasons of 1,000 yards. He has had at least 83 catches in every season in that time.
Yeah.
And he's played at least 15 games in every season in that time. He stayed healthy basically completely the entire time. 2 seasons over 100 catches, always over 12 yards a catch. Absolutely crazy production from Travis Kelsey. And I think he has a real shot to end up number 1 by the end of his career.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely agree. And Shannon Sharp rounding out both of our lists. He definitely deserves to be on this list. He's got counting stats. I feel like a lot of people don't really realize that he was this good at football. They're just like they just see his takes and his stuff with Skip, and they don't really know, like, because I feel like a lot of sports nowadays is just social media, just toxic social media stuff. So you got to give Shannon Sharp his respect. That man did it all on the football field. It's probably John Elway's favorite or leading option there. And yeah, 3 titles, counting stats. I mean, the dude was a freak.
Yeah, and not first, but he kind of was one of those guys that was changing the tight end position and what we thought of it as. Then obviously we had Kellen Winslow before him and a couple other athletic tight ends, but Sharp really kind of changed that game, and even being smaller than most tight ends were, especially at that time. So he kind of changed the game as far as tight ends go. I feel like he was the number 1 receiving option on those Denver teams, which as a tight end is something that didn't usually happen at the time. So I also got to give Sharp also post-career credit to Shannon Sharp. He really was one of the first former athletes to go on like a 2 to 3 hour long takes-based show. And so you do that does take a different kind of analyst, and pro athletes usually have not been able to do or haven't done that. And as far as I know, Sharp was probably the first one to do that. As much as you can critique his takes and how he is one way or the other, that's something cool and impressive that he did do in that part of his career.
Facts. Completely agree with that. Next, we got our running backs. Really? We have running backs? For some reason I thought I had receivers next. Running backs. Wow. We both agree. We both agree that Barry Sanders and Jim Brown are 1 and 2. I'm a little surprised there. I know me and you, especially you've told me that you've gotten a lot of hate for saying Barry Sanders is the best running back of all time. Why? Yeah. Why do they hate on you saying that?
A lot of Jim Brown, a lot of Emmett Smith, a lot of Walter Payton.
Okay. I can respect the Jim Brown, but
yeah,
I don't know about anyone else. Honestly.
A lot of people, I think, in our generation are infatuated with Emmett Smith's stats because they haven't watched a ton of him play. And not that I did watch him play live, but I have done my research on Emmett Smith, and just his running style is bleh. You got to give him credit for staying healthy for that long. He played with Aikman and Irving. I mean, he played with absolute studs, a great offensive line. He did play for a long time, and he was productive for a long time. You got to give him that credit. But his career per carry averages, not that great, just over like 3.3, I want to say, or 3.5. Do you have that written down? I figured you would.
No, I don't.
Shoot, sorry. I think it's 3.5. Look me up. It could be wrong on that one. I just forgot to write that down. Sorry, folks. But so yeah, I'm going to start with that, honestly, because we're on it. Emmett Smith not on my list. I had a big rustling at 5 between him and LT. But here's the thing. LT, 162 career touchdowns. Emmett Smith, 175 career total touchdowns. This is receiving and rushing. Total touchdowns. So 13 more total touchdowns career for Emmett. This is in 56 more games played, though. 226 career games played for Emmett, 170 for LT. 13 less touchdowns, and LT only played 10 seasons. So absolutely crazy production for their career. And I guess that's my argument with Barry being at the top is his 10-year production And I do give Emmett credit, and he probably should be 5. I just have a little bit of bias towards his running style and how much love people give him. So I felt like he should be left off this list. What else you got?
I still had to include him. I mean, he's first all time, and I get what you're saying for sure, but he's first all time in touchdowns and yards. So that's why I just had to include him on this list. So that just really stands out to me to be the leader in both of those categories. So he's just got the longevity. He was never like truly explosive in his years. Like he's more steady, around your 1,000 yards every year. That's why you see, like you said, the touchdown difference. LT just, the rate LT scored touchdowns was ridiculous. Actually, I mean, he had only like 100. What'd you say for his career games?
162 career touchdowns and 170 career games.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And that's including his last season with the Jets when he could barely even touch the field and walk and wasn't the same guy. Yeah. So we're basically talking at least 1 touchdown per game for his entire prime. For 9 straight years, 1 touchdown per game average.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, that's why I had to throw Emmett on there. Just the first in yards and touchdowns. He's got 3 or 4 Super Bowls too. So he's obviously a big part of those teams and their success as well. So that's why I got him as 3. Well, I'm going to jump back before we keep going to 4 and 5. I'm going to jump back to Jim Brown. I just want to show this man some love. What he did, obviously, played in the late 50s and the 60s, but still his stats are ridiculous. He has 106 touchdowns in only 118 games. He's 11th in rushing yards in only that time. Only 8 years he played, and he's in top 10 in basically every single stat. 3 MVPs in 8 years, All-Pro, first-team All-Pro every single year.
That blew my mind. 8-time first-team All-Pro.
Just insane. So that's why I got to give Jim Brown that respect, and what he did in those 8 years is just unheard of. So I had to that's why I put him at 2. And obviously that's why you put him at 2 as well.
Yeah, and my only other big difference, obviously, that we had was
Eric Dickerson. You threw him on your list all the way up to 3. Wow.
I know. A great prime for ED. He has still the single most rushing yards in a season. He has 13,000 rushing yards and 90 touchdowns still. He was first-team All-Pro 5 times, led the league in rushing 4 times. Very productive career. Obviously, that his record-holding season is obviously crazy, even though AP could have broke that record if he was selfish and wasn't getting the Vikings into the playoffs. He would have got 8 yards, 9 yards, broke that record. Unbelievably unselfish play. Really cool one there by AP. So, but ED, unbelievably good running back. I think he needs to be recognized, especially for his high production, high prime production.
That's fair. I can understand that. I think 3 is a little too far up the rankings for me, at least, in my opinion. But I do respect that, and I definitely did consider him in this top 5, possibly coming into this 5th spot. But yeah, for all the reasons you said about LT, I had to include him. And I noticed we also agreement with Walter Payton at 4. This man, I mean, he's 2nd in yards. He's 5th, I believe, in touchdowns. So he's got the kind of stats, and he's another one of those guys that he did this in way less games than like an Emmett Smith too. So you can use that argument for including him in the top 5 as well. I'm interested in all you Hardys out there. I want to hear your guys' takes for all these positions that we're going through here as well. If you think we're like totally off on a guy, just let us know. If there's guys that we haven't included on any of our lists that you think are no doubters, comment below. But I think we're pretty close to spot on, in my biased opinion.
Yeah, I think we got a decent list. A couple honorable mentions: Gale Sayers, 5-time first-team All-Pro in 6 seasons. Only played 6 seasons. We got Eric Campbell, Houston Oilers running back, won an MVP. O.J. Simpson,
Going off that
obviously,
going
super
off that
controversial
MVP.
person, but also on that list.
Going off your MVP, Adrian Peterson.
Adrian Peterson.
Another honorable mention there.
Yep, a lot of guys on that level. Marshall Falk, another one that could be considered big dual threat running back. So 36 career rushing touchdown or receiving touchdowns. So a couple honorable mentions we got. Honorable mentions. Yep, that's how we're going with the pronunciation today.
Oh man,
all right.
Wow, I guess look at us. We're in top 4. We're in complete agreement here. This is crazy to me. I didn't think we'd be in agreement on this list, especially with that many. But Jerry Rice, I mean, wow. Everyone knows what that man did. First by far in all the major receiving categories. So it's tough. I want to be biased and go with my man, this flag right here, Randy Moss. But I don't know. I just can't. You can't really argue against the gap he has in each of the categories. I mean, he's literally first in every category. So Jerry Rice, just insane career. He's first in games played too, so he's got longevity. I don't know. I just can't. I cannot not put Jerry first. That's just my opinion.
Agreed.
Right.
Jerry's just you got to give him the bias of having 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, playing in Bill Walsh's system, all that stuff. But when you're time and a half essentially over second place in your all-time stat category in both the 2 main things for that stat category, you're the go. Like, sorry, but especially a receiver, a position where Super Bowl championships are not very common, and Rice has those bad boys locked up. You throw all that together, and it's just indisputable.
Facts. I guess some people could make this 2-3 an argument though, and possibly put T.O. ahead. I can't. Statistically, they're essentially the same. They played the same amount of years, and they're either 2 or 3 in every category as well. They're just behind Jerry Rice. So statistically, they're pretty much the same, but I just like the big play. I think Randy Moss was better at making big plays. And then the prime argument, you throw the 1 year that he actually had a god tier quarterback, Tom Brady. He had 21, 22, 23, whatever it was, touchdowns. So imagine if Randy Moss had multiple years of Tom Brady, instead of Dante Culpepper throwing him the ball, So yeah, that's why I give Randy Moss the edge over T.O. because T.O. played with. Go ahead.
When you're going with the T.O. argument, I just like for ranking the quarterbacks, right? Like Moss had Brady for those 3 seasons. He's obviously the best. But the next 3 quarterbacks all belong to T.O. McNabb, Romo, and Garcia.
Right. Exactly.
Whatever order you want to put those guys in, those 3 are all better than Culpepper. So, I mean, Moss might have the top end edge for part of his career, but he also has the bottom end edge with all those Raiders quarterbacks and whatever that was going on in that time as well. Plus, if you watch the games, Randy's different, man. 3 for 163 and 3 tutties. Like
that's ridiculous.
That stat line exemplifies his career, though, and what he could do to defenses. T.O. did it for a long time. He caught a lot of balls across the middle that Randy never would have caught. And T.O. is an absolute tank, beast, ridiculous athlete. I take nothing away from that man. Very scary. And obviously, T.O.'s huge. Like, DB's coming across the middle getting trucked by this guy. Like, this guy is jacked out of his mind. But I think Randy's pure speed and scariness for the defense is above. And that's where I'm going here with Calvin Johnson, too. This is just something where when you watch the games, you know it's different. He played in Detroit.
Facts.
He played in crappy systems, crappy teams. But when you see a guy line up in the red zone and they put 2 guys directly over the top of him press coverage, like, there you go.
Megatron.
It's Megatron. This man was possibly the best red zone receiver of all time. Like
I could probably be behind that.
His ability to use his sheer size and athleticism to just beat guys is absolutely crazy. Still for what is he? 6'5", 240? Is that where we're at on Megatron? 6'5", 240, and this guy was still absolutely speed demon. So
yeah,
I retired way too young. I wish he would have got a shot to go play with the Patriots or something in that time. I would have been really lit to see him with Brady. But yeah, absolutely insane prime from Calvin Johnson.
Facts. And so I guess we'll just round out this wide receiver rankings here with the fifth, because that's our only difference. I went with Julio. Biased probably a little bit there because he's my guy, he's my favorite player. But or not technically all time. AP is my favorite player all time, but Julio is my favorite player right now, no doubt about it. And Julio, he leads. Retired right now, he would lead in yards per game. So that's kind of where I'm going. I think I like his prime. Obviously, the downfall, I guess, of the Julio argument would be the lack of touchdowns, which is pretty surprising for a guy of his caliber. But
especially with his size,
right? He's kind of like Megatron. Being double teamed and just making ridiculous catches just based off his size and athleticism, but doing that more in the middle of the field, not in the red zone, which I mean, take that how you want. That's why he has so many yards and not as many touchdowns. But the catches I've seen this man do, I think I was debating on putting Larry Fitz. That would have been my other guy instead of Julio. And obviously Larry Fitz, he's got the longevity argument. But just the eye test, kind of like similar to Calvin Johnson, from what I've seen from Julio, I think he's better than Larry Fitz.
Agreed. I can see that. I'm putting Larry Fitz's all-time playoff performances, that play against Green Bay, the play in the Super Bowl, multiple moments that Larry Fitz has had that have been really, really impactful. And the biggest Julio Jones moment I can think of was spoiled by the Patriots comeback with that big Super Bowl sideline catch that he made. That was ridiculous. So that goes a little less in history.
That's fair.
The winners write history. But I think both those guys are good. A couple other guys I considered, older guys. Don Hudson obviously played in the 40s, so it's hard to quantify, but he held the receiving touchdowns record for 40 years after he retired. So that obviously is something significant in that aspect. And then Lance Alworth played in the 60s and 70s. His best 2 seasons, he averaged 110 yards and a touchdown per game for 2 straight seasons. So that's absolutely a ridiculous stat there for that man. Steve Largent played in the 70s and 80s for Seattle. He had 8 career 1,000-yard seasons, despite there were 2 NFL strike shortened seasons in there, so he had 2 shortened seasons. Crazy receiver, played on some sketchy teams, but he's another guy that I considered also in that top list.
Well, now it's time to jump to
the fun one.
The fun one. The position that matters the most, the quarterback. It's tough, though, because we can't really argue number 1. It sucks.
I know, it's awesome.
Right, Spinny.
I absolutely love it. Should we slide our teaser back in now for this?
No, get that off my screen. I didn't want to see that again. Ew!
Maybe I'll just hold it like this for the rest of the debate, Just sneak it back here.
You can't tell, but my hand is over your screen on my computer, so I don't have to look at that ugliness. Notice how I didn't put him on the slide either. I didn't want to even look at his ugly face on the slide. So.
Yeah, the unanimous GOAT. Anyone that argues that is just wrong. Okay.
All right.
Number 2, the 2-3 debate. I'm so right about.
Let's get in this 2-3 because I'm still heated about this. Joe Montana is not better than Peyton Manning. Stop it. That is absurd. Absurd to think. How do you believe that? Let's hear your argument then, because I know it's going to be centered around a team stat of winning.
4-time Super Bowl champ, 3-time Super Bowl MVP. MVP. So best player in the Super Bowl, 2-time MVP. He led the NFC in passer rating 5 times in his career. 4 times it was the NFL lead. He had his first MVP season, he had a passer rating for the season of 112.5. Absolutely insane for whole season numbers. In that span from 88 to 90, when the Niners were at their peak under Joe Montana, he had 100-plus passer rating in 8 straight playoff games. He was 22 touchdowns to 2 interceptions in those 8 games, and they only had 1 loss during that time. Joe Montana, absolutely all-time playoff performer, through the Immaculate Reception, one of the most famous plays in the Super Bowl in history. He is the thrower of that pass. So highest all-time quarterback rating in the Super Bowl, 127.8 in his 4 Super Bowls, and also did not throw an interception in the Super Bowl, 122 attempts, no interceptions.
So clearly Spinny's argument here is centered around one game, the Super Bowl, that you'd get to by having a good team, because Super Bowls are team stats, Spinny, not individual QB stats. Just so you know. Joe Montana.
Playoff performances.
As strictly as we're talking about quarterbacks, there's no chance Joe Montana is better when this man only has 211 yards a game. His measly 1.4 touchdowns per game is not even close to Peyton Manning, who's at 2.1. It's statistically not even close to Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning has 5 MVPs, 5, the most out of any player ever, and he did that against Tom Brady. Tom Brady's playing the entire time Peyton Manning is, and he still was able to win 5 MVPs. That is insanely impressive to me because, as you said, it's the unanimous GOAT. But he was able to win 5 MVPs in a time when the unanimous GOAT was also playing. That's absurd. He was the all-time leader in yards and touchdowns until it took more games for Brees and Tom Brady to pass him. So now he is third in both those categories. He has the wins. I mean, he's got 2 rings if you want to add that in there. But 5 MVPs, Spinny, it's hard to argue against that.
It is hard to argue against that. Big thing with Peyton Manning is, for me, is a 14-13 career playoff record. I know that's a team stat, and I get that. But what was can I ask you what Peyton Manning's career passer rating was during the season?
What do you mean?
Yeah, Peyton Manning's career passer rating. Do you have it?
It was like 66. Oh, no, passer rating, it was like 96.
Yeah, 96. That's what I had to. 96. Peyton Manning's career playoff passer rating, 87.1. Worst quarterback in the playoffs, shrunk when it mattered most quite a few times. Maybe he wasn't playing with a team with a better defense, but Peyton Manning had more offensive weapons than pretty much anyone else in the league at the time. James, Clark, Wayne, Harrison, all at one time.
Montana didn't have any weapons?
Montana had Jerry Rice.
Of all time,
You're right.
He didn't have put up 211 yards a game.
He did not
have. Peyton Manning putting up like 270.
He didn't have 4 Hall of Famers on his offense. No, 4 other Hall of Famers on his offense. Jeff Saturday, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, and Edgerrin James. So, sorry. But Peyton Manning, wonderful quarterback, great regular season quarterback. If this was just a regular season argument, then I would have Peyton Manning over Joe Montana. I think Peyton Manning, pure talent, is more talented than Joe Montana. But when we're talking best quarterbacks of all time, in my head, you have to balance talent with resume. 50-50. How talented they are, how well they performed, where they were in games, plus the player's resume, what they've done, what's important in the NFL, which is playoff production, how you perform, how do you step up your game in those big moments.
Montana.
That is part of it. And so he doesn't only have the playoffs.
Yes, he does.
That is not true. That is not true.
Go ahead and comment below because I'm clearly right. There's no chance Joe Montana is better than Peyton Manning. Like, there's literally no chance. Literally no chance. This man has 5 MVPs against the GOAT. What do you want him to do? Oh, and yeah, that's another argument to take away from your hating of his playoff performances and records. He's going up against Peyton, freaking Tom Brady every year. What do you want him to do?
Yeah, but you act like Montana.
Did Joe Montana have to face freaking the unanimous GOAT? No, he didn't.
He had to face some great quarterbacks, though. Great quarterbacks. Marino,
to
Elway,
still win, to
Mobley.
win 2 rings. To win 2, Elway is not. Oh my gosh. To win 2 rings in the same time frame that the unanimous GOAT is playing in, and 5 MVPs, is more impressive to me than winning 4 Super Bowls, 3 Super Bowl MVPs in the 70s.
The 70s? Clearly, you don't even know when Joe Montana played. Jeez. The 70s. When was Joe Montana's rookie season, Bus? 1979. Played half of a season in the 70s. Half of a season. Sick.
70s and 80s.
Sick. Played till 1994. Sick. Joe Montana, second best quarterback of all time.
No.
All right. Drew Brees, obviously. Yes, he is. And it's also a shame you don't have a quarterback drafted before 1996 on your list. That's a shame. Other than Joe. One quarterback drafted before 1996 on your list. And I had to beg you to even put Joe Montana on your list.
Who cares?
Learn about history of the game, Bus. History of the game.
Yeah, but
Johnny U could have been on this list. Otto Graham could have been on this list. Dan Marino could have been on this list.
Otto Graham. He thinks these guys are better than like Aaron Rodgers.
They changed the game.
Who cares?
We're talking the game.
We're talking who is better, strictly better as a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is better than him. What are you talking about?
How about Elway, buddy?
Oh my gosh.
Elway and Marino.
Let's jump to this fifth argument, because we both have Brees at 4. Obvious, he was the leader in the major categories till Brady passed him. That would be our argument for including here on the top 5.
Dude, Brees' consecutive 5,000-yard seasons situation is ridiculous. Absolutely I don't love Brees. I think he shrunk in the playoffs too, but
he did. Yeah.
The amount of consistent, ridiculous passing yard season stats for 10, 15 years straight is insane. Absolutely undeniable.
I mean, there's like I think 11 5,000 passing yard seasons in NFL history, if I remember the stat right, and he has 5 of them.
Yeah.
Like, insane production. I'm a little shocked they never won an MVP. I guess that would be the one downfall of his argument here. His resume, he doesn't have an MVP somehow, but I mean, you can't really blame him when he's playing at the same time as Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. So that's tough.
Yeah, you are right. Brees had 5 5,000-yard seasons, plus one 48-70, one 49-52, and one 48-20.
That is so ridiculous.
So eight seasons over 4,800 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous. All right, let's jump to 5 here. What is your Steve Young argument then?
My Steve Young argument, huh?
Why does he deserve to be mentioned as a top 5 quarterback?
My thing with Steve Young is he was the real, maybe not the first, but the first to be in I shouldn't say that either. Quarterbacks form. He's one of the most prolific rushing and throwing dual threat quarterbacks of ever. He had we're just going to go with his career stats here: 232 touchdowns, 107 career interceptions, passer rating of 96.8 for his career. Very similar to Peyton Manning on the passer rating aspect of it. He had 3,300 rushing yards or passing yards. Obviously, that 33,000 passing yards. Sorry, folks, a little getting ahead of myself here today. 33,000 passing yards. Obviously, lower, less than half of Brady and Brees. So not super high on that list. You also got to take into account the era he played in, the amount of running they did in Bill Walsh's offense, and how his offense was based. Big thing for Young is he had 4,200 career rushing yards by a quarterback, super impressive, and 43 career rushing touchdowns. So 275 career total touchdowns. Pretty cool stat there. as well. 4-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time MVP, and 3-time Super Bowl champion. So lots of impacts there from Steve Young. He also has 1 Super Bowl MVP. So that's why I went Steve Young there. Multiple impacts, won a Super Bowl, and had a 96 career passer rating. Lots of quarterbacks to consider here. I picked the guy I thought fit the best.
I had to go Rodgers. He is first all-time in QB rating. Only one over 100, actually. He's the only one that is better than 100. He's like 104, which for how many seasons he's played is absolutely ridiculous to have. He doesn't even have 100 career interceptions yet. That's ridiculous to think about. He has a Super Bowl. He's got one. He's, obviously as of late has underperformed in the playoffs, which you're not going to see me complain being a Vikings fan. But this man, what he's been able to do on the run, out of the pocket, just some things we haven't been able to see in the NFL before from the quarterback position. He kind of started that, and we see it a lot more now, like with guys like Herbert and Burrow and Mahomes that are, Josh Allen, these guys are so good out of the pocket and on the run and stuff. And I think Aaron Rodgers really started that in my opinion. But 3 MVPs, including back-to-back, that's another part of the argument there. And he's second in touchdown percentage, which means, how often you throw a touchdown, which was it was 6.8. So almost every 7 pass attempts, he throws a touchdown, which was only second behind Lon Dawson. I don't even know who the hell Lon Dawson is. So he's essentially first in touchdown percentage. But yeah, first in QB rating. He's up there, inching in the top 10 in yards and touchdowns, and has the 3 MVPs. So I just had to give him the respect and throw him in there at the 5th. But like you said, Spinny, there's a lot of guys you can argue there with that 5th spot. But I think for sure Brady, however you order it, Brady, Manning, Montana, and Brees, at least in my opinion, that is a solidified. Those 4 deserve to be in the top 5, no doubt.
Yeah, you got to throw in Elway, Marino, Favre.
Right.
Those 3 guys got to be in your next coming up list, and they could be. Elway's had a lot of big game production as well. It's just, again, this Mike Shanahan's offense is predominantly give the ball to Terrell Davis and run the play action off of Elway. Elway's best receiver was a tight end, so you got to give him a little bit of credit there on that one for how their offense was. So give and take. It's hard because the NFL's changed so much in the passing game. To incorporate it completely stat-based takes away from what the game actually is and how good these guys actually are. You put Dan Marino in a time where he could have maybe played 15, 20 years, given how many hits he'd taken with the arm talent that man had, and you never know. Something crazy could have happened stats-wise. So it's really hard to account for those things in the NFL. That's why era comparisons are so hard in a sport where they try to keep it as up-to-date as possible on the rules, which is great, but it also is harder than a sport like baseball that never changes to maintain all-time arguments. So give and take, but the NFL's obviously got the better strategy.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. In any sport, whatever you're debating, all-time is it's ridiculously tough to do.
Yeah.
Especially I said, Montana didn't play Tom Brady, but that's not really against him. It's not Joe Montana's fault he was born before Tom Brady. So it's
exactly.
I don't know. It's tough to compare in all of these. But yeah, like I said earlier, all you Hardys out there, drop lists. We're interested in seeing your guys' top 5s and at least outliers. If we had someone on there that you for sure how the hell you have him in your top 5? Or there's guys that we didn't include our top 5 that you were how the hell don't you have him in the top 5? That's what we want to see. So comment below.
Yep.
But that's all we got for episode 17. That was our content. We're finishing it off here with Q&A. We got this little Dynasty basketball segment from Forbrook. You got the questions here?
I do. You want me to? Where do you want to start?
You throw them out. You do whatever order you want, and then we can both make comments.
Okay, Joker, Greek Freak.
This is for Dynasty basketball, by the way. Folks.
Yeah, all Dynasty basketball rankings. So who do you want? Dynasty fantasy basketball rankings.
Jokic has been first in fantasy these last 2 years, but I'm going to go Giannis because I think Giannis will play longer in the league.
Yeah, I think Giannis's prime will be longer. I think he's a better all-time player. They've pretty much been 1 and 2 for the last 2-3
Yeah.
years.
So I gotta give the slight edge, to be honest, for sure.
Ant or Devin Booker?
That's tough. I'm gonna go Ant. I think Ant has a higher potential than Book. I said last week that I view Book as more like a late 10, top 10 potential, like, in that 8 to 12 range. I think Ant can get higher than that. I think he's the dude. I'm obviously biased being a Wolves fan, but from what I've seen in these first couple of years, I've been more impressed with Ant's first couple of years than I was with Booker's first couple of years. So I think in Dynasty, you obviously play in age. So I'm going to go with Ant being younger, and I think he has a better potential.
I'm going slight Ant too. I think, again, his higher potential. I also think he has a higher potential for assisting and rebounding and development in those areas. I think based on how long Booker's been in the league, we kind of see what he is as far as those two things. And I think Ant being so young, we still have more development time, i.e. Jason Tatum, how he's turned into more of a playmaker this year. We could see that more from Ant potentially, or in the rebounding department, more fantasy points.
Definitely rebounding for sure. Yeah.
Yep. Durant or Curry?
Durant or Curry? This one is tough. I'm going to give a slight edge to Durant. I like he gets a little more rebounds and assists than Curry, so that's always better for fantasy points. And as of late, obviously has been a better scorer than Curry too. I would say the games played issue, injuries wise, I think that's pretty on par. These guys, both those guys are missing, almost 20 games every year.
You're getting 60 games out of both those guys.
Probably. Right, yeah. And age-wise, I'm probably off on KD's age, but I know Curry's like 33.
They're right in the same.
They're basically the same age too. So I'm just going to give KD that slight edge because he's slightly better in the three main counting stats.
Yeah, I also think KD's team is a lot more based on him than Steph's team is, as far as like in Golden State, the open guy always takes the shot. Nets are more ISO-based offense. So I'm going to take Durant slightly on that. Cade Cunningham or Evan Mobley?
This one's tough. You can go first. You got an answer?
I'm going Mobley just on the higher floor aspect. I think Cade probably has a higher ceiling given he's triple-double potential. But I think given what I saw from Mobley, you could get – man, I think his floor is like 20, 10, and 3 blocks. I mean, I honestly do. It's hard to see him doing worse than that for me. So I think that with a potential for like 27, 13, and 3.5 plus a steal or two. So I see that reason as why I'm picking Mobley. I think he's a safer choice. But I do think in Cade's ideal world where he's averaging 28, 8, and 8, you're obviously going to want him. But I think I'm giving a slight edge to Mobley.
I'm going to go slight edge. Mobley as well. Exact reason you said the higher floor. I like.
You can't just copy me like that.
No, I'm supporting what you're saying, and then I'm going to go further into my point. He has a higher floor, as you said. He's going to, probably get a double-double, which is great for fantasy points. But two, now I lost my point because I was looking at you doing some weird face thing at me.
I lost my point.
Ugly. Yeah. Oh, here it is. Two, this is a guard-dominated league. Bigs are harder to find in fantasy. Good bigs. I think Mobley will be good forever. So I'm going to give slight edge for Mobley there.
All right, you did have more to add. I'll give it to you.
Yeah, come on, bro.
I think this one might be the easiest one of the group, but Gobert or DeAndre Ayton?
Ayton.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Gobert's next 3-year production, though, could be crazy, especially if he gets traded to a team like the Mavs, where Luka would make him do crazy stuff offensively just by his playmaking, and Gobert's going to get, his 13 to 15 rebounds every game. So, but yeah,
it's tough. It's really close.
This one is interesting. LeBron or Ben Simmons?
Oh, I laughed when I read this. I was like, man, we're just done with Ben Simmons. Just never going to play again in the NBA or what? I mean, here's the thing. I'm gonna go Ben Simmons just based on he's younger. All right. He's got obviously way more, you would assume, way more years left than Bron, who's probably only got like 2 or 3, But I will say this. LeBron's next 2 or 3 years, however long he plays, he will be better at fantasy than Ben Simmons, no doubt about it. So take that how you want it. I'm taking Ben Simmons just because he's going to get more years. So if I'm thinking dynasty, I want who's going to, produce for a long time. And I still have faith in Ben Simmons I don't think he's going to be ever top 10, even probably not top 20 in the NBA, but a guy that could, score 15 to 18 a game and hover around 8 to 10 rebounds and assists. That's great for fantasy. And so I'll take that production as well. But yeah, LeBron will be better for these next couple of years for sure.
Agreed. I'm taking Ben Simmons on the upside. I'm always going upside. And if you were trading both these players, you're getting way more trade value in return for Ben Simmons than you are for LeBron. So I guess that's another thing, at least in our leagues. LeBron just got traded straight up for Chris Middleton in the league that I was in. So that was quite an interesting trade. But I think that shows the value of LeBron compared to Ben Simmons, who still would garner.
Wait, LeBron for Middleton happened? When was this?
This was not this was George and Connor in this league up here.
Yeah, the one I'm in.
Yeah, the one you're in, Giannis for Middleton.
When did this happen?
LeBron. 2 months ago.
Ew.
Yeah, George traded LeBron for Middleton.
Oh, ew.
Yeah, I think I'm taking the LeBron side of that trade, but it's not that far off. All right, last one. Kawhi or Kyrie Irving?
Wow, like two guys that don't know how to play games. God. I'm gonna give the slight edge to Kyrie because he's shown that he can play more often than Kawhi. I don't know. Where the hell has Kawhi been? I don't know. So I'm gonna give the slight edge to Kyrie. That is just straight toss up because you got either of them on your fantasy team. You're pissed because of how many games they missed. You don't even get to use them that much.
Especially if you're playing daily scoring format. If you play like us, where it's pick one game a week format,
sleepers format,
then sleeper goated fantasy app, by the way, ESPN, Puke Nation. I'm taking Kawhi. I think that Kawhi will play more games the next couple of years. I think he's getting over his injuries. He might be a little sketchy at the beginning of next year, but Kawhi was a top 3 player, remember, in the league. Kyrie Irving was never a top 3 player in the league. Never a top 5 player in the league. Probably never a top 10 player in the league.
Right, but I don't know if statistically it's that far off, though. Kawhi's statistics are not
great.
Crazy.
You're probably getting the same production, basically fantasy-wise, out of both these guys, and I just think Kawhi's going to play a few more games than Kyrie.
All right, that's fair. So he didn't play this year, obviously. He only played 52 games the year before, 57, 69. Those are his last 4 or 5 years, Kawhi. So, I mean, take that how he is. Kyrie, I'm sure, is right around there. So, yeah, that one was tough.
Can you give me that number of games played again?
I already closed
last
the tab.
5 years? I'm sorry. I just wanted to say Kyrie Irving last 5 years, 51, 59, 71, 75, 53.
So he's been playing more. Kawhi is 0,
a little bit
52,
more.
57, 60, and then only 9.
Yeah. Definitely
because that was more. The 9 was the last Spurs season.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I read the wrong side of the stats sheet. I'm sorry. Jeez. Kyrie last 5 years. This year 29, year before 54, year before 20, year before 67, year before 60. First year in Boston through Brooklyn. 60, 67, 20, 54, 29. Not great. About the same.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same.
So, yep. We're going with split decision on that one. But, yeah, that's the episode, y'all. Sorry, we might have had a little technical difficulties on the vid at the beginning. So, just push through it with us, and it gets better on Bus's side, I think. Also, let me know what you think of my camera. We're trying out some new tech
I
over
probably
here,
look so gross now.
I know.
I'm so like, you're just like
Kinda
so
cool, huh?
top tier, and I'm just gross over here and just blurry. And you got the nice camera, and I stuck with this laptop.
Just
Don't worry,
dancing.
fans. I'll upgrade my camera at some point.
It's all right. Well, we love you all. Keep
We love
listening.
y'all. Are you
Keep,
gonna end it the way
keep
you did
commenting.
last week?
What was that again? I can't exactly remember.
Something about like hugging. Always hug your friends and family, or something along those lines. Hug them up, kiss them up, tell them you love them. We love you, Hardies.
Tell your friends and family you love them and give them hugs.
Yeah.
Peace out and spade and neuter your animals.